many of you won't need much of an introduction, but Robbie is a Tesco worker and also a member of the Executive Committee of the Shopworkers Union Usdaw. Now, people will have read about it in the newspaper, which I don't mention at the time this evening, but Robbie stood for the General Secretary of the Usdaw Union, and she stood on a campaign basically run on a shoestring budget, and she challenged the pro-Labour incumbent General Secretary and got 40.6% of the vote. Now he had exactly, and had the entire machinery and resources of the union behind him. What did Robbie have? A socialist programme. So now she's standing for the president of that union, and give her a very warm welcome, please, to introduce the Socialist Party.
Robbie Segal, Socialist Party member and Executive Council member of Usdaw, the Shopworkers Union. I've just reread Trotsky's transitional programme, and a line caught my eye and really reflects the short film we've just seen. He said, under the conditions of disintegrating capitalism, workers must defend their mouthful of bread if they cannot increase or better it. What a clear view of the struggle that workers face under the crisis of capitalism. What an understanding of our basic needs. It's a crime not to take account of the experience of a man who dedicated his life to the socialist transformation of society. His ideas today are of no less importance as they were last century, and capture the very essence of the period that we're entering. Now, Sarah mentioned that I got 40.6% of the vote in the election, and I'd like to thank all those comrades who were part of our campaign, the website, the blog and Facebook, and those who went into shops, big and small, with the leaflets for my election for General Secretary. What a tremendous response we received. In just 1 week or so of dedicated, organised work across the country, we received a resounding and positive response to our programme, which went into 360,000 homes of some of the lowest paid workers, made up of a real cross-section of society, from young workers, women, students, older workers, and those who have to work beyond retirement age. Our programme reflected their anger, but also their hopes and aspirations. We in my industry have lost the right to vote on our pay and conditions. We're bullied and disciplined when we return to work after sickness. There's a lack of job security and low wages, long hours and continuous pressure to increase productivity, together with the anger against New Labour and its pro-business policies, has compounded our anger. I've been a trade unionist since I was 19 years old and worked for Tesco's for 22 years. And over this period, I've seen the effect that downturn in the economy has had on ordinary working people. Over the past year, there's been a further move to increase productivity, and this has resulted in subsequent increase on pressure of people at work. As big business begins to batten down the hatches to prepare for the recession, I've seen the effect that this has on my members, with increased sickness, stress-related illness, and the hardening of the attitude of management to any kind of weakness of workers, despite the wave of the meek legislation of this new Labour government. I can give you hundreds of examples of how workers in the retail industry have been bullied and harassed by management who ignore common decency in order to increase the productivity at work, especially with regards to those workers with disabilities and easy victims. One young man with multiple disabilities, deafness, facial scarring from brain operations, has been forced outside to work on trolleys after a battle to get him to be able to work inside the store, and now faces disciplinary action. When explaining his disabilities, I was told he's only deaf. I thought his scar was his hairstyle. A young man with diabetes is forced to do a late night despite the fact that he has to inject insulin in the evening and rest, so he left. A 70-year-old woman with a serious wrist injury has been forced to work on checkouts. A woman with high blood pressure ended a 4-week consultation period because her job no longer existed and was moved over to another section of the department, and then told, right, after going through all that Knights could no longer do the job and the experiment had failed. This is the reality of how employers see us. Another young person desperate to have a family gets a phone call whilst on maternity leave to say she's redundant because of cuts imposed due to the downturn in the economy. But it's illegal. Do the bosses care? This is a symptom of the weakness of the trade union leadership, because with some honourable exceptions, the trade union leadership is treated with contempt by big business, big or small. Employers have no fear of the trade union leaders because there's a vacuum, and we need to fill this vacuum. But there's a problem, and that's the lack of democracy. During my election, the bosses in the union bureaucracy connived to block my nomination. They refused to put up my leaflets and in some cases tore them down, which shows that democracy is a concrete issue in my election. The bureaucracy would not even acknowledge that I was standing, and this further angered workers. A combination of this anger and our programme, I believe, resulted in the tremendous vote we received. But on the other hand, the bureaucracy spent thousands of pounds of union members' hard-earned money on their programme, a programme of bullying and intimidating union officials and members to make sure that the standing General Secretary got back into power. The bureaucracy mobilised the whole of the union machinery, and what a force! How much better would it have been if the union's time and money had been spent on building a campaign for an £8 minimum wage? We need to build on the momentum of my result, and that is why I've been asked to stand for president of the union, and why I'm asking for your further support in this campaign. Comrades, when I joined the party, we would stand outside the factory gates, outside the mines, the power stations, small manufacturing industries to sell our paper and build our party. But today, many of these industries have gone. We have in their place glorified warehouses, which are supermarkets, where thousands of workers work 24/7 on 100 different shifts. But there's a significant difference, because these factories have no gates. Just walk in and you have young workers, mainly working at the weekends, night workers, shop floor workers. Talk to the representatives, and even better, talk to the workers themselves. These gates are open, and we need to grasp the opportunity these modern day factories hold. We need to turn these factories into fortresses of our ideas. Thank you, comrades.